we're going to the TV stations, we're going to show the footage, and we're going to saturate the market with this information. Then we're going to prove to the world that Peeping Tom exists. The camera doesn't lie.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2018 found footage horror film Butterfly Kisses. The film is written and directed by Eric Christopher Myers, and it stars Rachel Amiga, Reed DeLeese, Matt Lake, Eve Young, Kelsey June Swan, and Alexander Benford. Right, okay, this focuses on an amateur filmmaker who essentially is desperate to make it in the film industry. He's a filmmaker himself, and he finds in his basement like a box from years previously, and when he studies the tapes in this box, it appears to be lost documentary material from some documentary filmmakers years previously, and they were making a documentary about a local phenomenon or a local urban legend called Peeping Tom, and they went missing. He edits all this film together, turns it into like a found footage type film, and then tries to show it to the world, and he promotes it and sells it as real footage because he believes it is. Nobody else, though, believes him at all. They all think it's just a found footage film that he's made, and many of them don't appreciate the fact that they feel like they're being tricked by him into pretending this footage is real. This is very frustrating for this filmmaker because he's got his own documentary film crew following him and following his journey, and he gets more and more desperate to try and prove that this footage exists. But in actual fact, it sends him on a very slippery path and in direct conflict with Peeping Tom himself. Right, what are my thoughts on Butterfly Kisses? Well, found footage, obviously, guys, you know I love found footage. I'm revisiting a lot of found footage films at the minute, watching some for the first time, and this is a film I have actually seen before. I didn't remember seeing it initially. When I started watching it, I'm thinking, I've seen this before, but I couldn't find it on my channel to review it, to show that I'd reviewed it, and then I remembered I watched and reviewed this for Leo over at Geek Legion of Doom. When it came out, he got a screener for it, he sent it for me to review, and I remember quite enjoying it at the time. And so I very much enjoyed revisiting this found footage film. I think this is one of those found footage films, if you like, that works very well on a lot of different levels, in my opinion. It blurs the line between film and reality, or it tries to blur the line anyway. And it's one of those, and I think sometimes the best found footage films are the ones that almost feel documentary style, and this very much is. Two documentary styles in one, in actual fact. You've got the documentary of this footage that is found that is edited together of these two young filmmakers making a film about Peeping Tom and their journey, and the more sinister that becomes. Then you've got this documentary film crew that's following this filmmaker around, following his journey, sort of thing. And then you've got obviously the found footage part of the film as well, which is the Peeping Tom stuff. And it's constructed together quite well. I mean, it could quite easily have kind of tripped up over its own narrative in a lot of ways, but it actually doesn't. They're both compelling. The found footage that you keep seeing that this filmmaker put together is really interesting, intriguing, and it pulls you right into their story. These two filmmakers trying to prove that Peeping Tom exists, and the idea to bring Peeping Tom forward is you're supposed to stand at the end of this bridge and you're supposed to stare down there for an hour without blinking, and if you do that, Peeping Tom appears. However, it's not an easy thing to do, to not blink for an hour, so they've got to figure that puzzle out, and they find quite a creative way around it, I suppose you could say. However, obviously, with this being a horror film, that actually opens the door for Peeping Tom, or so their footage shows, sort of thing. And then you've got, as I say, you've got this filmmaker that's, on one hand, you desperately kind of want him to be taken seriously by everybody, because we know the footage is real, or at least that's the way it's presented to us as audience members. But the way he goes around it is so slimy and sleazy. You kind of, he kind of is very frustrating, this character, this Gavin, because he feels like he's only in it for himself. He's only in it for the fame and the notoriety. And he's trying to get all these people on board, in regards to fundraising it and getting it out there and getting people to kind of support it and all this kind of stuff. And literally nobody will. They all think it's twaddle and rubbish and fake. And you can see him getting more and more frustrated as the film progresses. And this documentary film crew, if you like, getting a kick out of it in some ways and kind of poking the bear, sort of thing, and to the point where it becomes a real danger for this Gavin guy. You know what I mean? He's put everything on the line to kind of make a success of this, and he just can't. I mean, there's even a cameo in this film from the guy that directed the Blair Witch Project. He makes kind of an appearance in the film to kind of debunk the footage and say, it's kind of deplorable. It's trying to, pass this off as real footage when it's clearly, it's found footage. It's been filmed. It's been made. It's not real, sort of thing. And the two kind of sides of the story kind of interact really, really well. And then you've got right at the core of this urban legend, this Peeping Tom, which is, where the horror comes from. And it's fascinating how all that kind of plays out. You know what I mean? The fact that they start spotting him, and then it gets more and more desperate as like this found footage kind of goes on that we keep seeing. It just kind of they get more and more desperate. They're trying to figure out ways to stop him getting close to them, and they never really figure it out. And it's quite creepy. It really, really is. And as found footage films go, this isn't one of those that actually follows the typical blueprint that I'm always talking about in found footage films. This kind of flips between the two, the current footage of documentary being made about this Gavin and the found footage is found, and then the other real found footage that is edited together. It flips between the two of them, and it doesn't kind of follow the typical blueprint of found footage, which is like bubbling along, an odd scare here and there, bubbling along, and then chaos at the end. You don't really get that. It's not kind of paced in that way, this found footage film. And it's not an easy thing to do, I don't think, to make a found footage film and kind of make it feel fresh and interesting. And the writer-director here, Eric Christopher Myers, I think did a good job of creating a pretty effective found footage film here that definitely deserves to be seen if you haven't seen it. So, yeah. Definitely want to check out if you haven't seen it. I certainly enjoyed revisiting this one, and it's definitely one that you should if you're a fan of the genre. So thanks very much for joining me for this review, guys. I will of course be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.